Ciao.
Gaines and Barbara Blackburn. And so we thought tonight we would find out for ourselves, is she in fact a world champion typist or a world champion con artist? We've assembled...
Be ready for it.
That's right.
Like lightning in a bottle. You want to... That really has nothing to do with this. Jeff Gamet's here with us, everybody. Jeff Gamet. How are you, sir?
I'm doing really well, and I'm actually really happy because every time that we do this is special for me because you're just awesome, and I love hanging out with you.
Oh, stop it.
I can't.
Oh, stop it. No, you have to stop it now. We have to stop it now. I can't because you'll be nice to me, and then that'll make me feel weird the whole day. So... And the whole week, actually, because, you know, this launches another week of
that's true.
Of In a Few Minutes with our friend Jeff Gamet. Lots of big stuff coming up this week. He says that he has thought long and hard about his dinner party. We will be doing that, of course, Friday this week. Tomorrow is the final fight between AirTag and Tile. You may remember the last time Jeff Gamet was on. We said we'll have you on in a few weeks and you can tell us what your final decision is. So kind of excited about that as well. But Monday, of course... I am excited because, first of all, we have a great guest on, Jeff Gamet. But second, I don't know what we're talking about. And that to me is always very exciting because on Monday, of course, it is news to the guest. The guest this week is Jeff Gamet. He gets to bring a story and say, here's what I'm thinking about. Here's why I think it's a story. And then we have a discussion. I'm curious, sir, what this week is news to you?
Well, you're either going to be really surprised or not at all.
Okay.
And Amazon Sidewalk.
I am very surprised because I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, that makes it even more fun because I can say anything and you won't. You'll just be like, okay, yeah.
That's true. Well, hang on. Is Amazon Sidewalk, that's not the thing, or is that the thing that's going to tie in with Tile? That's not that. Oh, that is that. Okay.
It's totally that. Yeah.
All right. So is this part one of tomorrow's discussion or is this just a completely separate thing?
It's a completely separate thing, but it does kind of tie into tomorrow, and that's totally by chance.
Okay.
I really wasn't thinking, oh, I should set up a theme. It just happened.
Right.
And what made Sidewalk news to me, it's two things. First, all of a sudden everyone's freaking out about it. Mm-hmm. And not last year when Amazon was telling everyone very openly, hey, this is what we're working on and this is what we want to do with it. Not back in January where Amazon said, hey, guess what? We've been doing all this testing and we're not ready to launch it yet, but sometime this year, it's coming in a few months. It's when it's getting ready to roll out. Now people are like, wait, where'd this come from out of the blue?
All right, well, wait, hold on a second. Can you back up a bit and tell people what Sidewalk is for people who don't know?
Sure. Okay, so Sidewalk is sort of like a smart home Internet of Things mesh network. Mm-hmm. And it uses Amazon's Echo devices to create these sort of like wireless bridges so that devices that you have, Internet of Things devices that need to have an internet connection to work can work even when your network isn't available. So that could be like you mentioned Tile. You have a Tile tracker. If you lose something with a Tile attached to it, and it's not anywhere near your phone, how do you find it? Well, if it's an AirTag, you just wait for someone else with an iPhone to walk past it. You can do that with Tile, but there's not that many people out there that are going to walk past it. And so why not have this whole network comprised of Echoes, just like all over everywhere, and let those find the Tile for you? Mm-hmm. So, stuff like that. Or if you have a Bluetooth lock on your door and you need to remotely control it, but you're not anywhere near your home.
Right.
Okay. Well, your Bluetooth lock can talk to an Echo that's acting as a bridge. And now you can control that lock even when you're not anywhere near your home.
So news to you then is what? The fact that people are freaking out now? The fact that it's finally coming online? I mean, what is the part that makes this a thing for you today?
It's the freak out now. It wasn't last year. It wasn't in January. It's now. Mm-hmm. And now, granted, we are like a week away from this really launching. I mean, it's been out there in small test studies for months and months, but now is when people are freaking out. And I guess part of it comes back to the same old thing that has always amazed me, which is how short people's memories are in the news cycle. Mm-hmm. Because I even did a search just to see what sort of articles were out there going back in time about Sidewalk. And in January, there were articles where people were saying, hey, look, security issues, you need to be aware of this. And yet no one is remembering that this was a thing. So anyhow, the other part of this is news to me is that Amazon has been working for a long time on creating something that makes tile more competitive. And a lot of other products more competitive simply because they're not restricted to staying in your home now. And I think that's really great because that creates more value in tile products for people that have those, and creates more competition for Apple with their AirTag product.
So why do you think people are freaking out?
People are freaking out because they always freak out about the privacy thing. And you don't think it's Amazon specific? I mean, because I'm thinking about things like, hey, remember the time that the Echo, sent a transcript of somebody's private conversation to somebody else in their address book? And I'm also thinking about things like, so you bought an Echo, and that's great. And then you thought, oh, well, it'll play music for me, and I can put things on my Amazon list. And then, 2 years later, 3 years later, Amazon says, oh, and by the way, we're going to make it possible to track everything on the planet with the thing that you bought, or with the network of things that you bought. Now, when you put it that way, that sounds really bad.
Well, I'm thinking maybe that's why people are freaking out, though. It's sort of like, did you see the horrible adaptation of iRobot that starred Will Smith?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they sold the robots, and it's like, oh, great. So now we all have robots. And then one day the artificial intelligence turned them all into an army of robots that were there to ostensibly protect people. But I mean, they were originally bought for one thing, and then all of a sudden they were turned into something else. And I'm not saying that the whole Sidewalk thing is that nefarious, but I mean, does that maybe make you understand a bit more why people might be freaked out by it?
Oh, yes, I totally get that. Okay. And I think for many people, that's exactly why they're freaking out. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, people freak out when you wave the privacy flag. Mm-hmm. And a perfect example would be looking at AirTag when it launched.
Yeah.
The freak out around this could be used by stalkers.
Yes.
It's actually a lot more secure than a tile in that respect, but we never heard anyone freaking out about tile in that way. And I think it's, you have the company that's a big name, plus a privacy related thing happening, and there's an inherent distrust. So it doesn't matter if it's Amazon or Apple or Microsoft or Facebook or whoever, there's just automatically going to be that distrust. And in many cases, it's been well earned. Well earned? Yeah, I'm seriously. I mean, look at how hard Facebook has worked to make us not trust them with our privacy. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, the other thing too. I mean, I don't want to be, a security guy or guy under the seats or any Chris Elliott, character from the Letterman days, honestly. Mm-hmm. But Apple has married itself to privacy. Mm-hmm. When Apple comes out with their thing, I mean, they've married themselves to user privacy and security so much that it's, hard to jump to that immediately. Whereas Amazon has married itself to collecting lots of information about you to sell you more stuff. And so it's hard to, even if they say we're concerned about your privacy, you don't think that privacy is job one with them. And I don't think privacy is job one with Apple either, but I think it might be, job 4,
maybe.
It's probably higher on the list than it is for Amazon.
Yeah, I would think it might be. Here's the conspiracy part, though. The big story that was written by, the big story about how how an AirTag could be used to stalk somebody came from the Washington Post, which is owned by Jeff Bezos, who also has an interest in Amazon, who also has an interest in competing with Apple. And I'm not saying, well, that's what that was, because I don't really believe that that's what that was. But I mean, that does also, tickle that part of the brain of like, well, why they're doing that. And I don't really think that's why they're doing it. And yet you can't help but go, oh, really? Not from the New York Times, not from the Guardian, from the Washington Post.
I'm with you. I don't think that was the actual intent.
Yeah.
There's no conspiracy here.
Right.
But I love this conspiracy theory.
And I hate that that's where I go. But I mean, you always want to check the source of something, right? Like you heard, right, about the academics who have said that app tracking transparency is bad for the planet. They're written by a guy who works at Harvard and a guy who works at the University of Florida, some law center at the University of Florida. But the whole thing was backed by who? Paid for by Facebook. They paid researchers to come up with a research thing that, oddly enough, ended up saying that what Apple was doing that's hurting Facebook is actually hurting the planet and hurting consumers and hurting competition. It's like, okay, and I'm sorry, who signed your check again? I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah. And you're right. It's important to always follow that trail back and see what the motivation is behind that news piece, that article, that white paper, whatever it is.
Yeah. Anyway, so news to you is I'm a conspiracy-minded loon.
News to me is Ken is a conspiracy-minded loon, and I'm an enabler by feeding him the things to stoke those conspiracies.